The Bulls added a win with today's solid victory. And of course, I've got to mention how many times they scored from beyond the arc. They were so confident with the three ball, and it was instrumental to their success. What you see here is how the majority of the points were scored for the Chicago Bulls. The Pacers didn't lose big, but it wasn't exactly close either.
And it's always going to be a challenge to win in this league. If you can't find one guy to get you at least 10 points, they were unable to do that.
Game track. 3-point shooting. Player of the game.
And while you can't track leadership on a stat sheet, it was by far the most impressive thing he did in this game.
Who was cold?
Every player that makes it to the NBA is a great athlete, but even the best players have their off nights. Today was just one of those days for this guy. Time now for the top plays of the game.
Number 2. Number 1.
And that does it for our post-game wrap-up. On behalf of ESPN on EA Sports, I'm Jalen Rose. Thanks for joining us.
A dribble or two there, but he got the shot he wanted.
Slams it down. Desperation shot here from Harry. It's good, and it gets them closer as we reach the end of the first half. We've reached halftime here in Game 2. Let's get you to our NBA Live studios in Orlando and hand it over to Jalen Rose for our EA Sports Halftime Report. Jalen.
Let's take a look at what went down so far in this one. The Bulls are in a tight battle after 2 quarters. A close margin like this makes for a great game for the fans, but a headache for the coaches. I'm interested to see what kind of adjustments they make in the second half. These are the guys getting buckets for the Chicago Bulls. The Pacers aren't down by much after 2 quarters. I love the way they gave each other scoring opportunities. That really impressed me. I love seeing unselfish basketball like that. These are the guys getting buckets for the Indiana Pacers.
Game track. Points in the paint.
I found it to be a refreshing first half of basketball. In the age of analytics and the 3-ball, it was nice to see guys battling for points in the paint.
Player of the half.
I like this choice because he really put on a show in the opening half. There's a reason he's a fan favorite.
Who was cold?
No one wants to be picked for this segment, but he couldn't avoid it. Maybe he'll turn things around in the second half.
These are the top plays from the opening half.
Number 2. Number 1.
And that concludes our halftime report. Thanks for joining us, and see you again after the game.
Just inside the arc, at the buzzer. Shot at the buzzer does indeed go down, but it's too little too late as this ball game is over. This one to the Pacers. They'll take a commanding 2-0 lead into Game 3 of this 5 games.
The Pacers almost let this one get away from them, but they managed to get the victory. And whenever the game seemed to start slowing down, they came up with a block that would ignite everyone.
Here are the guys who put up the most points for the Indiana Pacers. The Bulls finished on the losing end of a close score. This loss is sure to be all the more bitter because of how well they shot from beyond the arc. Their percentage from three-point range was outstanding. Check out the leading scores for the Chicago Bulls.
Game track. 3-point shooting.
Each of these teams were solid with their long-range shooting. So by extension, they were pretty poor with their perimeter defense. Closing out on shooters must always happen, whether you're tired or not.
Player of the game.
And while you can't track leadership on a stat sheet, it was by far the most impressive thing he did in this game.
Who was cold?
Every player that makes it to the NBA is a great athlete, but even the best players have their off nights. Today was just one of those days for this guy. Here are the top plays.
Number 2. Number 1.
On behalf of ESPN on EA Sports, I'm Jalen Rose, and it's been our pleasure to present you with some NBA basketball. The Pacers
Were merciless in this game.
They did it with blocks, and they did it with steals. More to the point, they did it with excellent defense. They committed to the grind and got rewarded as a result. What you see here is how the majority of the points were scored for the Indiana Pacers. The Bulls seemed to give up on this game as it got more challenging. Losses like this become main discussion topics in the media. So hopefully this team is ready to answer the tough questions. It's not going to be fun. Here are the guys who put up the most points for the Chicago Bulls.
Game track. Assists.
The Indiana Pacers showed off the kind of team chemistry that coaches love to see from their players. The more they moved the ball, it showed how much they trust each other. In the end, they got to win, and it looked like they had a great time doing it.
Player of the game.
What can you say about a guy like this? Except that he fits the title of this segment. He was definitely cold in this game. Here are the top plays from the game.
Number 2. Number 1.
And that does it for our post-game wrap-up. On behalf of ESPN on EA Sports, I'm Jalen Rose. Thanks for joining us.
To Turner. Swings it. From long range. Great defense, forcing the miss.
Just because you're an elite shooter doesn't mean you need to shoot the ball every possession. Maybe give a head fake, crack into the defender, get to the free throw line, see the ball go in the hole.
This one to the Pacers. They're moving on. Next stop, the Eastern Conference Finals. For my partner, Jay Williams, and our entire crew, I'm Ed Cohen. This has been the NBA Playoffs on EA Sports. Find out more at easports.com. Until next time, good night.
Here we go with the EA Sports post-game wrap-up. The Pacers are one step closer to a championship with today's win. Still, the journey is far from over. They've got to stay focused. They want this journey to end with the Larry O'Brien Trophy in their hands. Check out the leading scorers for the Indiana Pacers. The Bulls were eliminated from the playoffs today, and I'm sure there are no words that can make them feel better right now. Making the playoffs can be considered a success, but that's probably not what they want to hear right now. Check out the leading scorers for the Chicago Bulls.
Game track. Field goals.
The Chicago Bulls made it pretty easy for us to determine why they lost, and it was clearly their poor shooting. Even if we hadn't watched this game, all it would take is one look at their field goal percentage to make an educated guess. Many people predicted a loss after all of those misses in the opening quarters.
Player of the game.
Miles Turner.
And his defensive impact was undeniable. The way he blocked shots reminded everyone just how great he is with his timing and energy.
Who was cold?
Every player that makes it to the NBA is a great athlete, but even the best players have their off nights. Today was just one of those days for this guy. Time now for the top plays of the game.
Number 2. Number 1.
On behalf of ESPN on EA Sports, I'm Jalen Rose. We look forward to seeing you again next time.